boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, 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 boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like Elf. Thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shame for the championship. Bucking on Tampa, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy, then you probably smell the crooked referees on Roger Goodell. Yeah, running like this, and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like this, and I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media
I just want
Network.
to jump right into this because I've heard you say now a couple times, we were talking before we came on camera that our mock draft had the Saints at number 2, and you said, that's assuming they're going to be bad this year. You don't really agree with that. Why not?
Look, I think we're poised and ready to make a statement in the NFC South this year. I mean, there's no dominant team in the NFC South. Yes, the Tampa Bay Bucks have won the division the last couple of years in a row here, and Baker Mayfield is by far the most established quarterback and playing really well. The rest of the teams have young, maybe not quite as established starters. Bryce Young in Carolina, who finished the season really strong last year. I love his journey and the adversity that he overcame last year. And they're an up-and-coming team. But Michael Penix kind of starts that era in Atlanta. And here we go, Spencer Rattler, getting his opportunity with the Saints. I think top to bottom, the Saints roster is really, really strong. One of the best offensive lines in football, one of the most dynamic running backs in Alvin Kamara, who can do everything for you. And then 2 extremely explosive receivers in Olavi and Shaheed, not to mention a lot of other pieces of the puzzle. Defensively, tons of great veteran leadership and presence in Demario Davis, Cam Jordan, tons of young guys that have been drafted over the last couple of years at every level of the defense. So, look, I love the position they're in. I think they're flying under the radar right now. Kellen Moore, everyone seems to love. I think he really has, kind of like the pulse of that team and has really kind of created an offseason and a structure that's really gotten those guys, ready to play. And look, I love his offensive scheme as well. So, man, all the way around, I think the Saints are in a position to maybe surprise some people.
I was listening to an interview or several interviews with Kellen Moore, and I got to say, just so much more authority than I expected him to have. You mentioned Spencer Rattler being named starter for the Saints. You had mentioned at one point that Jake Haener actually reminded you of yourself. I'm curious, though, when you're evaluating quarterbacks now, what do you look for that's maybe changed from when you first got in the league? Like, is it leadership? Is it the amount of time that they've played? For you looking at someone to be successful in this league, what attributes are you looking for?
Hold on. Before you pay for yet another app to manage your team, let me.
First and foremost, I think having a lot of college experience really, really helps. In fact, I would say a guy, in order to be at a level where he's really ready to be a great NFL starter, I think he's got to have 50-plus starts under his belt as a combination of high-level college and pro. In other words, if a guy's coming into the league having only started 1 year in college, call it 13, 14, 15 games, he still has 2 years ahead of him before I think he's really ready. I mean, go back in time and tell me a guy who came in with only 1 or 2 years of college experience and made an instant impact. On the flip side, you take guys that had a wealth of college experience. Brock Purdy, 52 starts or something at Iowa State, comes in a backup role into San Francisco and has immediate success. Bo Nix last year, a ton of starts in college, 61. Ended up having a really successful rookie season. Jane Daniels, a lot of starts at ASU, then goes to LSU, and then had the success he had last year. So there's tons of examples of that. In addition to, the guys that didn't have the starts really kind of struggling as they came in. So I think that, and then obviously combine that with the team around them and, some of the, the factors that, really help position a quarterback to have success. A great defense, great run game. Those are definitely key ingredients to having success as a QB. But I think all in all, it's experience.
Okay, those are guys with a lot of college success and time playing. Obviously, you had a lot of time in the league. You retired at 42. Aaron Rodgers now playing at 41. Not that Aaron Rodgers needs any sort of advice from any of us, but this last year, if it is the last year for him, is there any advice that you would give him, whether it's, durability and focusing on your body, focusing on the wins and, actually playing really hard, which obviously he'll do, or is it just taking in the atmosphere? If you had to give him one piece of advice, what would it be?
Well, I think more than anything, it's just being in the moment. And, the opportunity, obviously it's a fresh start, for him leading the Jets. He's going to an organization and a team and a coach in Mike Tomlin that really has an established identity there. I mean, those guys haven't had a losing season in, I can't even remember how long, 30 years, 25 years. They have a formula, and they play great defense. They run the football effectively. They play a tough physical brand of football. And honestly, the QB position has the chance to be something that elevates everybody, which it always does. But I think especially in that situation, you can see how they've built that roster to win now. I think they see this as, whether Aaron Rodgers plays 1 year or 2 years, they understand that their time is limited with a guy like that. So they've got weapons. They made some offseason trades. Defense, they're going to run the football. They play in a tough division. I mean, shoot, they got to go.
All right. Shout out to the fam. Appreciate y'all being in the stream. Welcome. And now rocking with the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, where we have intense, entertaining, educating, and enlightening sport talk from your favorite sports fam. So shout out to the mighty Who Dat Nation. I appreciate y'all for being in this one. It's Friday, man. Big ups to the fam. It's on Friday, man, and we got a few things to go over. I'm going to try to let you know tonight, man, I'm not going to keep you very long. On this one, and I mean it. So, all right. So anyway, with that being said, shout out to all the family members up in this piece, man. In the Groove Music, OG Jerry, Young City 9, Jaden, big ups to you. Let's see what else we got here. Clint, brother Clint, Mr. Fire D, All World Trucker, shout out to you. Cartel Bo is in the building. What's up, Desi? Shout out to Desi. Brother Joseph is in this thing as well. Appreciate y'all. Slim, Poppy 504, big ups to y'all, man. Appreciate y'all for being in the building as always, man. Much love to y'all, man. All right, what's up, Kai? Kai the Greats in this thing as well. Appreciate my brother for being in this thing. Listen, fam, tonight's broadcast, we just gonna kick it on and talk about the projections. Obviously, the great Drew Brees. What's up, Brandon? How you doing, sir? Yes, indeed. Mad Drummer, what's popping, bro? Pastor Q. Okay, all right. All right. Shout out to you guys. Appreciate y'all for being in the building. Now, y'all obviously heard Drew give a really good breakdown about the Saints team. He talked about Elvin Kamara, talked about the offense, Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed. He mentioned a lot of valid points, and then the lady kind of transitioned it to talking about another team. But I thought that was a good game that Drew was dropping insofar as him talking about 50 games of experience for a quarterback to be ready for the pros. So that's really good game from Drew. And one season is not what we see from Tyler Shuck. And people understand that, man, and know that, that's the case. He's right. Jaden Daniels played a lot of time at ASU before he came and got recruited to come to LSU and ball out of control. He eventually won a Heisman. But who you seen Jaden Daniels as with the Arizona State Devils, I think they were, the logo is, or motto or whatever. It was a difference when you look at him over there and then getting a lanky kid who had some passing ability, who scrambled a lot, and then LSU took him and turned him into a Heisman Trophy winning first round draft pick franchise style quarterback was awesome. But yes, it's not like Shuck didn't try. Tyler Shuck tried to play football for 7 years. His body was only good for 1 year. The man had 7 years. Most of the time he was backing up some really good quarterbacks. And then the other time he was hurt. So, he got the good year at the end, but these guys see something in him. We know that he's not quite ready yet, but it's only one way you're going to get ready. You don't have the games. You gotta learn live time. And however you get it, you're going to have to study and you're going to have to work your butt off. But in the end, Drew made some great points, and I think is the nation or the national scene sees the Saints as a team that is that's not going to be a very good team. So I started the broadcast with Drew. Shout out to Drew as well. All right, all world say you need to do a Tulane channel Q. First game tomorrow. Yeah, Green Wave got love for the Green Wave, man. My nephew went to Tulane, man. He played basketball there. He's pretty good. I think he in the top 15 in the scoring list there. So he got his degree there. So Tulane was always one of my favorites as well. So the beautiful thing about the Saints situation, the projection is a lot of the national media people see the Saints as a team that's not going to win very many games. Let's just keep it honest. They see the Saints as a team that's on the mend, a team that is people keep saying rebuild, even though they had a guy put an article out about the Saints showing that the Saints are a team that's their average age is somewhere around 26, 27 years old. So the team it's going to get younger, but gradually. You'll lose Cam, you'll lose Demario. We lost Tyron this year, so the team is definitely going to get they're going to get younger gradually. But you would like to do it in a way, and that's what Mikel. I told people about this. Mikel Loomis doesn't like rebuilds. He doesn't like it. That's why he invests in veteran players and attempts to draft younger players and get them to get the veterans to mentor the younger players and then provide a mesh where they come up gradually, you're right, and keep a certain status quo. But Drew made a great point about the Steelers, not so much about Aaron Rodgers. I don't give a damn about Aaron Rodgers. But in the end, he made a great point about the consistency of what the Pittsburgh Steelers is. Since the 70s, they had a handful of coaches, 4 or 5 coaches since their inception. They win damn near every year because they have an identity. And regardless of who the coach is, even though Mike Tomlin, over his great time there, he kind of made more offensive innovation, but they never lost their identity. A gritty team that runs the ball, that plays rock'em sock'em defense, and has solid special teams. Very simple, old school unit thinking. So we could take something from that, man, and move it forward. But in the thinking, the Saints defense, transitioning from a 43 to a 34 style defense, has a lot of positives to it, especially how they played through the entirety of the preseason into the training camp, into preseason, and how consistent they were in terms of how they pretty much dominated the offense. The offense, was up and down. Now we see to win, you don't need to have 3 or 4 years of rebuild. I keep saying the same thing over and over again. I don't know what people are looking at or how they're gauging their team, but the Saints are not how many damn times I got to keep saying this stuff, man? The Saints are, hey, Who Dat Nation? Great Saint thing. Time to tell you that, but some of these people, y'all, the Saints are not a team. Don't listen to these national media people. They're not. They have a skewed perception of the Saints because they're grading it based on the quarterback position and the coach. You got a young coach that's here, and you got a young quarterback, right? But most of the rest of the team is a veteran team. You got talent everywhere. Guys are healthy, right? You're in the moves that Kellen Moore made. He got better backups on the offensive line. They're gonna need time to get it together, but they're better than the guys that were there during the preseason. That's real. Torres Ellis Simpkins is by far the crowning jewel of what we found him and Velus Jones out of the preseason. So I say it over and again. The Saints are not a team that requires 3 to 4 years worth of drafts to get ready to play playoff football. That's not who we are. And people keep looking at the team and they missing the point that the reason the team failed the last 4 years is not because the talent wasn't there. They were bringing people on the team every damn year. The problem was the stupid possum face head coach you had here the last 4 years. The guy didn't know what the hell he was doing. And I don't understand if I can yell it from the highest mountain to make people understand how terribly important it is for you to have a head coach that know what he's doing. Look at Mike Tomlin. If you take Mike Tomlin, pull him away and put him away from the Steelers and transpose him into a Saints head coach, he going to get the winning right away. Why? Because he's going to establish the trenches on both sides of the football. He's going to get the running game going. He's going to add speedy talent to the wide receiver room. And he's going to have a quarterback, even if it's a young quarterback, regardless of what type of quarterback he has there, they're going to have success because if you got a quarterback, a young quarterback that's there, that got to learn the ropes and get better over time, you got to give them access to a running game. You got to give them a good defense, and you got to give them quality special teams play. If you can do that, then you can win right away. You can execute and win games running. If you don't have a head coach that has accountability, who stands 10 toes down for his team, that if guys don't play right, he pulls them out of there and does stuff like that, then you're going to have a team that is mismanaged, that underachieves, and everything to that same degree of energy. So when people do their breakdowns and accounts on the Saints from the past, they astutely forget the dumb coach that was on top of the team. The guy didn't have any brains. He had stupid assistants that he didn't check. He turned the offense over to a guy and didn't put nothing on him to do something with it. When the offensive line wouldn't block or was failing and all this type of shit, did he make an offensive line change to bring another offensive line coach in there? What I mean, or give the assistant the opportunity to run the team from the offensive line standpoint. Maybe the assistant has. When you're in a 6-4, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, a 6, and then a 7-game losing streak, and you're not switching out personnel, something's wrong. The guy didn't do none of that, man. He didn't do that for years. He sat on his ass and tore up his own team. And now it comes out that most of the players on the team didn't like him. Well, big whoop. We know they didn't like him. We see how the team responded to his coaching style, that they didn't like the guy. It took you to fire the guy. So what I'm saying is that has a major impact on how this team is underachieved year after year. And even when they had an opportunity to take a step forward, when they got to the stage, they would fail because they wasn't ready. They wasn't made like that. You can't have that. That team was a lacking ass team, and it was lacking because of that stupid head coach we had last year, in the last 4 years, and that dumb general manager you got. That is what happened. The Saints have good players everywhere that are healthy right now. So, and the thing is, also be aware and know that whatever the Saints offense is, we haven't seen it. We haven't seen their offense. We've seen vanilla play calls. That's why I made the joke about the ice cream yesterday on the other show. I kind of got myself and half the Who Dat Nation hungry as hell for ice cream, was because of the terminology of the vanilla playbook, which means they wasn't using the plays that they usually would use during the regular season to not give the ops opportunities to learn what they were doing. So we don't know what their playbook looks like right now. We think it'll be similar to what Philly's running, but it'll be a variation. We know they're going to run the ball. The man got 4 running backs on the team that all look differently. You know, all these running backs got a different running style to them. We know that the man, I talked about it yesterday on the stream. I talked about how he's building a track team. Like, all these dudes got high 40 times. They got 40 times out the wazoo. Everybody could run and move. The fact that he kept Matavo as a tight end, and this could change. You might add one, maybe not. But you have to be, the Matavo had a high draft grade and really should have went higher than a 7th round selection, both him and Fadil Diggs. But you got him in the 7th round. You know, I talked about the development of having a good draft class where you draft all 9 players and 8 of them make the team and one barely didn't make the team because of Chris Rump II, who Brendan Staley brung in to the defense. Also, Bullard, he brung Bullard into the defense, you see, and got Saunders out of here. So the reality is that the Saints have readily improved the defense. We've seen it in practice. We know that the defense has potential. We know that the offense with Blake Grupe is awesome. He's going to be a phenomenal kicker for it. He was special this whole damn preseason and the training camp. He missed one kick the whole damn training camp and preseason, and that's because it was raining. And he kicked it in while it was wet out there. Phenomenal. New punter, Kai Kroger, who was punting his ass off out there. Great hang time, directional ability, and the returners. Saints even in Trey Palmer. And then the improve. Like I said, what I see is it's not a finished product, but when you see you have access to all the tools that you need to improve a team. If you draft well, it'll expedite the process. If you bring in undrafted talent, it'll expedite the process. If you bring in free agents that fit, and if they look good at first and then don't look good later, you go and take them out of here and put better backups in here, which is what the Saints did. They weren't pleased with what they were seeing by personnel, and they got busy. They got busy going into the first week, picking up guys off the waiver wire, trying to trade for guys. They got super busy in an attempt to move and shape the team and get them ready. But that's not it. The team is still going to change as the year goes forward, because Kellen Moore, that shows me that Kellen Moore is dialed into the needs, and he's actually doing evaluations on this team. He's doing evaluations. So the reason why I'm saying all that, fam, and some of the family members know why I'm saying this, is because, I think we're being undervalued to a degree, and that's fine. We can play the underdog role. It don't matter to me how they feel about the black and gold. All I know is that Kellen Moore will focus on getting his team to execute, and that's all I can ask for them. They'll grow organically, and they will get better throughout the year. If you got Elvin Kamara, you got Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, and then you had all these other players around. Issues with that line, but we have to improve. If guys don't play well, you think Kellen Moore is going, if Ruiz is still open and dope for people to run his quarterback off into an incompletion, how long you think that's going to last before Torricelli Simpkins get in there? How long you think that's going to last? You think that type of shit going to happen this year? Like I said, when it surprised me about the identity or the mindset of the team going forward when they put Isaiah Foskey in the street. Dennis Allen would have never cut Foskey. Foskey looked worse last year than he looked this year. That's the truth. But he made the team. DeMarco Jackson got beat out by Anthony Orji, but Anthony Orji ended up on it. DeMarco ended up on the team. This type of stuff was happening. And keeping players and people that was not performing because he liked the player. Never mind the fact the guy got outperformed. That didn't happen. The DeMarco Jackson, Isaiah Foskey, and those guys got put in the street. Jake Hayner, a guy that would have made the team under Dennis Allen and ain't doing nothing. They put that boy in the street. Why? Because they opened up another slot for the wide receivers to play. Because you got a returner in Trey Palmer, another speedster, and the Saints are going to look at having those 4 and 5 wide receiver package to stretch out defenses so they don't stand up there and think they're going to jam pack the box and stop Elvin Kamara. That's what that's for. So, like I said, man, we don't know until we know. That's a reality. But I'm going to just tell y'all, like I'm going to tell you again, a lot of these outside national people, they don't know the Saints like you know the Saints. They're looking at the quarterback position, and we know that a team can still win games even if they have regular or average play from the quarterback. They can still win games. The star of the show, for offensively speaking, is Elvin Kamara. You got a healthy Kendre Miller. Nobody, I'm talking about the health of the Saints outside of Penning being with a turf toe situation. And right now, That might be a little bit better for us because Dylan Redunce is a better guard than Trevor Penning. Right now, I would even say Torricelli Simpkins is a better guard than Trevor Penning. Let's keep it all the way funky. Come on now. Come on. Dylan Redunce is a better guard right now than Trevor Penning. Penning hadn't done it enough to be better than a guy that's been doing it for the last 3 to 4 years. And Torricelli Simpkins is better than Trevor Penning at guard right now. So, but the issue is too, is that we have to see if and I'm telling you that that's not going to be tolerated if Cesar Ruiz don't get his shit straight. If he don't get it straight, I'm telling y'all off the TOP that guy going to be pulled out of there if he ain't getting it together. Guys are not going to play that. They put haying their ass in the street for that spot because they understand, like the Pelicans, the team next in the same facility. It ain't about all this long-winded shit, for real. It ain't about long-winded down this because you already been waiting 4 years. What you supposed to wait 4 more years to win a playoff to even be decent? You've been waiting for 4 years. He said it's going to be a rebuild. It's not a rebuild, it's a remodel. You ain't raising the building to the ground. When you got to rebuild everything, that's every damn thing. Your offensive line need to be rebuilt. All this stuff rebuilt. You got players right now ready to contend. You just need somebody to inspire and install an identity. Come on. Y'all, my people know this. You can't win no games without no damn identity. I don't care if you're a football team, basketball team, baseball team. Hell, if you're a boxer, you got to have an identity and stick to what you know. Was the Saints' identity for the last 4 years? Huh? What was their identity? What did they do well besides fail consistently? That's what I'm saying. A coach has to install a mindset and identity for his team to play behind. And we simply didn't have that the last 4 years. That's the coach's main responsibility when he stepped through the door, is to install an identity for which his team to play by. You heard Drew talk about Tomlin. Tomlin is true to the identity of the team. It's a blue-collar team that's rough, tough, that'll knock the piss out of you, that's going to run the ball and play tough football. It's not a good place to go up and play. That's the identity that we need to have. The region is giving you the identity that we need to have. When you come to the Superdome, we're going to knock the piss out of you. We're going to have you scared. You're not going to come down here thinking you can get an easy win. And if you win, you're going to know that you was in a dog fight coming down here in the city of New Orleans. That's what you want to have. Whether you're the Pelicans or the Saints, you got to have that type of identity and speak to the strength and the resolve and the resilience and the toughness that hurricanes and floods and depressions and crime and every and anything that you can imagine did not sour the region or the people. They still fighting, they still positive, they still strong, and they still head first, and you can't play with them people. That's the bottom line. That's what I'm talking about. If you can tap into that, then watch how you grow, because that is the region's mindset and identity. And if you can do that, then you're doing something. But anyway, let me take it into these articles. I ain't trying to keep y'all too long. Let me show you guys this poll. I put up a poll about 4 hours ago, and over 300 people voted on the poll. And I asked the question, how many wins do you think the Saints get this year? If you haven't had an opportunity to vote on the poll, please feel free to go to the post section where I post all the messages at. At the very first post, you'll see the post there. Vote on it. Over 300 people unvoted on it. How many wins do you think the Saints get this year? And I told them this poll will be on the next broadcast, which is tonight. So let me share the poll with you guys so you can see what I'm talking about here. This is the poll right here, right? 307 people. I got 4 options up here. Number 1, 1 to 4 wins. Number 2, 5 to 8 wins. 3, 9 to 12 wins. And 4 is 13 or more wins. As you can see, of over 307 people, 50% of them say the Saints will win between 5 to 8 games this season. The next highest total was 9 to 12 wins, which was 31%, and 1 to 4 was 14%. 6% said 13 or more wins. So that's what I'm saying. The bottom line is whether you most, and listen, people don't have a crystal ball. They don't know what's going to happen. They're going off a feel of what they think is going to happen, or perhaps they regurgitating a talking point from their favorite media operation. I don't know. I don't know where they get it from. All I'm here to make people aware of is the fact that A, you have not seen the Saints' true offense yet. B, all of these players from Elvin to Kendre to the quarterback to the wide receivers to the tight end who dealing with a slight groin but look like he's doing a lot better. All of these guys are healthy except for Penning. And like I said before, I think Dylan Redunce, and Torrey Sally Simpkins are better guards than Penning right now. I'm just being honest. But you have everybody else that is healthy, and you can even say that about the defense. Alontae Taylor will be ready for week 1. Everybody, even Pete Werner. So you got a 100%, not 100%, but a really good, healthy team going into week 1 against a very underwhelming Arizona club. No disrespect to Arizona. I don't want to disrespect Arizona. But I'm saying based on, I was able to look and do some research recently on them because we're going to get ready to do the preview for the Saints and Cardinals coming up soon. But the Saints over the next 4 games, and I did this the last stream, showed the schedule. The Cardinals, the 49ers, the Seahawks, and the Bills, the next block of September games, the Saints have an opportunity to win 3 of those games. I don't think they'd beat Buffalo because I think Buffalo's one of the NFL elite teams. And by 4 weeks in, you'll see Buffalo, kind of round things out. They have an identity. They got a quarterback. They got all kind of good stuff going for them. I think they're an elite team, but it's a game where the Saints can measure themselves up against a Buffalo Bills team. It's a good game to see where you can be. And if you lose, you can go back to the tape and figure out what you need to work on. But they can beat an Arizona club. They can beat a Seattle club. Seattle ain't the same team that they were a couple years ago. They're not. Clint Kubiak's up there, and anytime he up there, you got a shot with that non-imaginative ass dude. And then the 49ers banged up to hell. So, I mean, and of course you throw in the rust factor. Like when you open up the first 2 or 3 weeks, that's going to be a rust factor where teams are not who they say they are. So you're able to get in there and sneak out some wins if you just execute. You don't have to be perfect. Just execute better than your opponent. Don't shoot yourself in the foot as much as they are. So like I said, that's some of the things why I just want to make people aware of is the fact that you're healthy. We haven't seen their offense in totality yet. We haven't seen what that looks like. We've seen what he's trying to do in terms of his roster. We pinpoint out that the fact that he loves speed, got all these guys everywhere. We got the show. We talked about the track team. And is it the fact that the Saints could be could have the fastest team in NFL this year? Could the Saints have the fastest team in NFL? And plus, another thing is you got the underdog factor working for you. When you're an underdog, that takes an amount of pressure off of your back that's so huge, it's ridiculous. Y'all know what I mean. When you don't have the national media going on your side saying, hey, man, the Saints going to win the championship, that kind of puff up your ego a little bit when they say stuff like that. But they're all saying that you're going to be ready to pick Arch Manning come up next year if he comes out. This type of stuff. So you don't have any hefty expectations heaped on you from anybody outside the mighty Who Dat Nation. They see you as the last place NFC South team, right? And I'm telling you that you don't have the talent of a last place team, even though you were last place because your stupid ass coach you had here prior. He didn't know what to do. He had no accountability, and he did some of the worst things you could possibly imagine. But you have a coach that's accountable, that is paying attention to his team, that he's young and innovative, and he knows what he's doing. He got a championship ring. If you go back and look at what was they had a graph that showed Kellen Moore's that they had up on. Let me see if I can work it back here. Here it is right here. Let me show it, put it on screen again here. Kellen Moore, here it is, of his past accomplishments, right? When going back 6 years, back to the 2019 Cowboys when he was running and doing stuff like that, right? Very interesting. Look at his rankings were in bad, how his offense has moved. Not bad production out of your offensive coordinator. Then the last 3 years, he kind of shaped himself. The last year he was with the Cowboys. He had the 4th ranked offense, 27.5 points a game. The Chargers, he kind of struggled a bit, but still got to the Eagles. He won his championship. So you see growth and development in the process with Kellen Moore. So what I'm saying is, fam, don't be surprised if your Saints win more games than you anticipate them doing it, because we're making the grave mistake of thinking that this is a lottery team or a bottom 3 team, which is ridiculous. They're looking at the fact that you have an inexperienced quarterback on top of the team and a young head coach. And we've shown in recent history that we've seen teams come out and play and win in their first year, and we got people saying, Q, it's going to be 4 years before we win again. It's not that kind of party, man. They're trying to win right now. That's what this is. That's why you draft all those 9 players and put them all, as many as you can, into your team. They did make some trades and send some draft picks out, but they do understand that Kellen Moore, even if Mickey Loomis, I don't believe whatever Mickey Loomis is saying, he don't know what the hell he's talking about. He done totally discredited himself as like the last 4 years in terms of look beyond the results and that foolishness. I'm talking about Kellen Moore. I'm talking exclusively about Kellen Moore and him running this operation. He knows football. He knows what he's looking for. So just saying that, man, we see 4 running backs, 6 wide receivers, a 6'8" tight end for the red zone, a 34 defense with personnel flying all over the field, and they look really good in a solid special teams unit. Don't be surprised if the Saints win more games than you tabulated. Just throwing that out there, family. Like I said, just putting that, making you aware of it. And for the rest of the family members who hadn't voted, please feel free to go to the post page and vote. We had 307 people vote on the poll. I put it up 4 hours ago. There's 316 people now. It's 49% of the people says 5 to 8 wins. I'm gonna go back to the poll, fam. For those who hadn't voted, I'm gonna go back to the poll before we close the broadcast and see if things kind of changed a bit, right? All right, let's move into this, fam. Let's go into this next one right here. We're going to talk about here. Then I'll bounce to your comment section about it. Bold prediction. Saints may reach all-time low in 2025. This is Sports Illustrated. New Orleans Saints. Shout out to Kyle Mosley. Saints hired Kellen to be the head coach early this offseason, and looks like quite the solid hire, right? Unfortunately for Moore, according to the article, the Saints don't have the talent on the roster to make a playoff push this season. According to who? Regardless of how fit Moore is for his job. What talent you talking about? What talent you talking about? You talking about what talent? They have solid running backs. They got good wide receivers. What talent you talking about? See, that's the thing I'm asking. What are you talking about? Expound on the point. What talent do the team have enough talent to win? They had enough talent last year to win. What are we talking about here? All right. So anyway, RB Hayek of Clutch Points doesn't seem to have very high expectations for Moore. And the Saints, Hayek recently made the bold prediction that the Saints would finish the season with the worst record in NFL. Based on what? Saints predicted to finish with the worst record. When examining the Saints' schedule, they face some challenges ahead. Although the NFC West and AFC East don't seem like formidable challenges on paper, the Saints look bad as a unit. What? Which makes it tough to see them winning many games. The Saints preview does not expect them to win much, if any games at all. This team could surprise some people. However, the biggest Saint bold predictions have them having the worst record this season. Okay, explain why. Remember, there's a certain quarterback who could likely be coming to the NFL in 2026, and the Saints it's the grandfather thing. Come on, dude. Quarterback situation is really, really bad. Oh, is it really, really bad? It's really bad. The situation really, really bad. I mean, it's like we got Huntley, Easton Stick, and and Kirk Cousins sitting as quarterbacks for the team. It's really, really bad. It's just really it's expound, man. All right, all right. Well, except sound like a preschooler. The quarterback situation is really bad. There does not seem to be enough talent to compensate for that. Really? Alvin Kamara and all these other guys? The 25 NFL season might be a major challenge for the Saints. With a new head coach and inexperienced quarterback, life might get tough in New Orleans. The Saints could have the worst record in football because their roster is in dire need of an overhaul. The team needs to rebuild. With Derek Carr retiring, the Saints were left with Tyler Shuck and Spencer Rattler in the quarterback room. Rolling into the season with an unproven offense led by Rattler is a recipe for disaster. At times last season, Rattler looked completely overwhelmed. He was a rookie. He's grown and improved since then, but you don't expect him to lead the Saints to a playoff run. No, he can't do it by himself because he don't know how to do that. He's a young quarterback. The Saints are in a horrible spot right now, but they're out of cap trouble, which is a small bonus in the grand scheme of things. New Orleans is likely 3 or 4 years away from any sort of playoff run, which is not true. That ain't true at all. That's not true at all. Yes, you have inexperience. They're not bad. They're not bad. We know what bad is. We've seen Atlanta quarterbacks. We see. I had to throw some Atlanta shade in there right quick. We've seen bad, poor quarterback play from NFL teams. Last year, Spencer Rattler was a rookie running for his life with a busted-ass, garbage-ass backup offensive line and throwing to 4th, 5th, and 6th string wide receivers. He had a laughable offense ran by a non-imaginative drone known as Clint Kubiak, who didn't know what he was doing, couldn't adjust and couldn't adapt and change and know how to incorporate all of his players. His one move was to use one player until he couldn't use them no more. He did not have the wherewithal to be able to take a guy like Taysom Hill and mix him in the offense and decoy him to use him as a decoy to be able to provide opportunities for other players. He just ran Taysom until he busted Taysom up. Crazy. But none of that is mentioned. You have Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, Juwan Johnson ain't best at blocking, but he still can catch 40-plus passes. But at the end of the day, all I can say is that we've seen teams before. If guys are painting a doomsday narrative here, fam, listen. We don't have a crystal ball. We don't know exactly how this is going to play. I'm not saying the Saints going to go to the Super Bowl in the first year. I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm saying is there has been recent examples of teams who benefited by a change of personnel, change this, that, and the third, put a new coach in there who knew the strengths of his team, and they won in most cases right away. 2 years ago, it was the Texans. When they got DeMeco Ryans in there, DeMeco Ryans knew what he needed to do to get that team going, and they won the first year. Matter of fact, not only did they win, but he took that team to the playoffs, and they got a playoff victory in his first year. And I forget whether they was in there this year. I think they was in. Didn't Houston go to the playoffs again last year? It wasn't as good or as impactful as they were the first year because people wasn't looking at the Texans like that. But when the Texans went to the playoffs, everybody elevated their tape on them and took them more seriously. We seen last year the Washington Whataburgers, the Washington Whataburgers did it with Jaden Daniels. They got there, they started playing. Like I said, you don't know how this is going to look. We don't know how the offense will look on Spencer Rattler. We don't know that. We know they got track team. We know the guy could throw the ball. We know the guy got some accuracy. So even if you stack the line against him, he can be able to throw the ball and test your defense. I'm just really interested to see how Kellen Moore's team's going to look. They got a couple of weeks to put it together. But I don't expect the Saints to go to the Super Bowl, but I really do. My point is, I think they're going to be a lot more competitive than them sitting up here talking about some bullshit about, oh, they playing for Archie Manning's son. Man, come on, bro. Man, he might not, he ain't even more likely to come out of there. So it's just the expectations. This is an expectation show. Like I said, fam, we talked about it, and I started it off by giving you some Drew. And Drew talked about it. He mentioned all of the great things that we talked about, and like he put it in form. And I just got mad love for Drew because he told the truth. He says, I think this is what he said on the show. We just played it early. He says, I think top to bottom, the Saints roster is really, really strong. That's Drew. One of the best offensive lines in football, what he mentioned, Kelvin Banks Jr., Tali Fuaga, two massive bookends that will be stellar. Trevor Penning has his stuff. Dylan Redunce, I think he'll be okay. Cesar Ruiz, we got to monitor, and Eric McCoy is one of the best in the business. And when he's healthy, that's another player to talk about. Eric is healthy. And we know when Eric McCoy, fam, we know, and we've seen that before. When Eric McCoy is healthy, the Saints look different. They look different. Why? Because Eric McCoy is the brains there. He settles everybody down. He tells them linemen what to do. And this summer, this training camp and in the preseason, they said McCoy was cussing at people, fussing and cussing. And we knew McCoy, that ain't even McCoy makeup. But McCoy was in there fussing and cussing at them people to get that stuff together. So you got a healthy Eric McCoy, a healthy Rashid Shaheed, a healthy Chris Olave, a healthy Jawan Johnson, a healthy Alvin Kamara, a healthy Kendre Miller, and Devin Neal. The Saints have a nice looking young thing going on here. Middle-aged thing, if you look at the numbers. You can't dispute that. One of the most dynamic running backs in Alvin Kamara. So he says one of the best lines of football. One of the most dynamic running backs in Alvin Kamara, who could do everything for you. And then two extremely explosive receivers in Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed, not to mention a lot of other pieces of the puzzle defensively. I think they're flying under the radar right now. That was Drew Brees. Now, Drew Brees got love for the city of New Orleans and the Saints, but he ain't no liar. I never known Drew Brees. He might spread it on a little thick, but I never known Drew Brees to be no liar. He ain't sugarcoat the shit when he talked about the quarterbacks. When he said, what about such and such? Well, I believe for you to be a really good quarterback, you had to have a combination of 50-something games. That's what he said. That's not Tyler Shuck, right? But that's his perspective. He gave his perspective, his truth on the quarterback position. And that should be highly regarded because of who he is. But, Drew, I don't see Drew Brees as a liar. He told the truth. You got, like I'm saying, how they talking all this nonsense? Teams ain't got people. They ain't got guys like, some of these teams ain't got wide receivers good as Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed. Cut it out. Or they pray they have a running back like Alvin Kamara running around out there. They pray to have that. These guys are problems, and they're healthy. And they're in a system where they're all enthused. They got chips on their shoulder. They got an innovative coach that knows how to use them, and a playbook that we've yet to determine what it looks like. So we got time on our hands. This is also what he says. At the center plan is quarterback Rattler, who was named starter Tuesday. Rattler, 5th-round pick, earned a starting role after competitive training camp that saw him emerge. Rattler showed flashes of talent, but largely struggled. 1,300 yards, 4 touchdowns, 5 picks in 6 starts. The Saints were 0-6 in the starts. But like I said, you also got to add the truth of what happened, as well as these starts and all this kind of stuff. Who was he playing with? I made the point in the broadcast to say, what does Spencer Rattler look like? We seen what he looked like with trash-ass backups. We seen that last year. Guys that couldn't block. They had to use the rollout play damn near every other play because the line couldn't protect them. They was too stupid to know who to block. You had the defenses, the ops was literally timing the snap of the quarterback and shifting before the snap to confuse the dumb offensive line who didn't even know to block, who to block, and that was Cesar Ruiz there too. The coaches didn't figure it out. That's their job to figure that out and stop that, or get these guys out of here if they don't know how to block. They're getting paid, man. Get these guys out of here if you don't know how to block. That's the point. That didn't happen last year. No accountability. But what I'm saying is, how that man looked with Elvin and Chris Olave, all these guys healthy. How you look in Kellen Moore's offense with all these healthy people? I'm looking interested in seeing that, and not just week one, but over a period of 4 weeks, at least 4 games, to see what he looks like in that system. So it's gonna be interesting just to see, man. It's gonna be interesting. All right. Anyway, man, I ain't gonna try to keep y'all too. Let me hit y'all with just one more article right here. This one right here was a rumored report here coming from behind the steel curtain, the Pittsburgh Steelers, a sports site that talked about the Steelers looking at a trade for a certain Saint wide receiver. Right. So the Steelers have connected to several free agent receivers, and any wideout who requested a trade, the top name Steelers fans want to see head coach Pittsburgh Steelers. Oh, I'm sorry. The top name Steelers fans want to see head to Steelerland is Raiders wideout Jacoby Myers. Other names is Gabe Davis, who the Saints brought in, Romeo Dubs, Juwan Jennings, and there could be a few others. Mo Martin, Mo Moulton, however it is, Mo Moulton. That's a crazy word. Bleacher Report predicts that the Steelers will trade for Brandon Cooks. How about that? In his 12th year, Cooks will be better fit on a playoff contending squad rather than a team in the early stages of a rebuild with a starting quarterback who has an uncertain short-term future. You don't know that, bro. Moreover, the Saints have a young trio of receivers in Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, and Devon Velley. Regardless of how the season pans out, they'll be willing to move Cooks for draft capital. The Steelers should be one of the strongest suitors for Cooks, who would be the team's second best wideout behind DK Metcalf. Calvin Austin III made strides as a big play wide receiver, but quarterback Aaron Rodgers can target Cooks as a reliable chain mover in the aerial attack. The Steelers reportedly reached out to the Saints in the offseason about a potential Chris Olave trade, but were turned away. Cooks is entering his second stint with the Saints in the offseason, soon to be 32, caught 26 passes, 3 touchdowns, 10 games with the Cowboys last year. Previous season, he caught 54 catches with 8 touchdowns. So, rumor report that the Steelers are interested in B. Cooks. I don't know if the Saints going to go for that. The Saints had an opportunity. They could have traded Brandon Cooks if they really wanted him. And they had a prime opportunity to do it, to free up in the roster spot. If that was the case, if they felt like Cooks would have made it, the Six have 6 guys there. I think they have a plan for Brandon Cooks, because they could have been traded him. I mean, Gabe Davis is another guy I thought would be a good fit for the Saints. Saints say no. They went on and kept with Brandon Cooks, and like I said, they could have easily released Cooks or traded him between now and then. It just feels like that they got a plan for B. Cooks. They got one wide receiver in Palmer, who's a returner, and Cooks is probably going to be one of these receivers that Kellen Moore uses in 5 wide receiver sets. So we'll see how that goes, man, as well. All right, I had a few other articles to go over with too, fam, but listen, I'm not going to hold you guys for too long, so I think I'm going to just give you a little bit of that and then jump to the comments section right quick and see if I can get some of these questions or comments out of the way. All right. Now, shout out to you. Good to see you, fam. Snake Bite, big ups to you. Snake Bite said we're not qualified. All right. And in the words of Mickey Loomis. What's up, T Dirty? Shout out to my brother T Dirty, man. Brother Abraham, how you doing, sir? All right. Red Swamp says Saints fans are in denial. I say about the same as much as the Falcon people are. Wouldn't you say? Every year people put on that Falcon shit and get disappointed every damn year, man. How long has it been since y'all missed the playoffs? 6 years? Oh, my goodness. Poor Falcon people. I almost feel worse. I feel worse for Falcon people. No, actually, I feel worse for Dallas Cowboy people than I feel for the Falcon people. I actually laugh when the Falcons fail because I be expecting it. No disrespect. It's just history. The The Falcon people be failing their ass off. Oh man, they be thinking we about to win the game. And then an epic collapse of the highest levels of hilarity happens. That's why I made the score tee. I was poking fun at the Falcon people. All right, Brandon says he probably won't even be in the draft next year anyway. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's not going to be in the draft. That guy's not coming. I told you the Mannings don't leave. They're not leaving school early. The man already rich. Didn't he just sign some deal with Warby Parker? He got an NIL deal. He got endorsements going on. I'm just being honest with you, man. There's no need. He was born rich. There's no need for him to leave and go early anywhere. He can sit there and develop and leave when he's ready to leave. Especially if they got them picked to be playing for the national championship this year. And I'm like, hold on, you can't do that. That's my LSU Tigers, baby. He had a chance. He could have been a Tiger quarterback. He won't go out there to the Texas, to the Longhorns. So that's why we got to give it to him. We got to hand it to him. All right, Jack says Juwan should be catching more like 80 passes. Q, set your sets high, bro. 40. Well, he should be, bro. But I don't know if he's gonna get 80 this year, bro. I don't know. I really say she should be like 50 to 60 catches this year. 80 catches would say, okay, I arrived. When you getting 80 catches as a tight end, I arrived. That means you ain't dealing with no concentration drops, and he still got work to do. But 50 plus, like 50 to 60 catches from a tight end in the Saints offense is respectable, especially if what order of importance is he in the Saint in Kellen Moore's offense anyway? What do you think? Put it in the comment section, fam. All right. Red Swarm say I'm predicting the Saints go 5-12 again. You would like that, wouldn't you, Red Swarm? You were like that. All right. All right. What's up, Larry? Shout out to Larry Dickerson. King Eternal says Kellen did more to the roster than people thought he could. He flipped the thing. Exactly. Thank you, bro. That's what I'm saying. Kellen Moore, because we were saying, bro, listen, everything that we said about the Saints offense in this offseason, we talked about, hey, bro, I don't like these backup offensive linemen. You need to go get better backups. The man literally did that within the last 7 to 10 days. He literally went out and traded for a backup center that was the best, which is better, the guy better than Will Clapp, who's hurt. He got a guy off the waiver wire in Xavier Truss, who's better than Landon Young, right? Even if it's not vastly better, he's still better than Landon Young. And then, of course, he's better than Shane Lemieux and the rest of these guys. Then he ended up picking up, who was the other? He got Xavier Truss, Jack Fortner, we traded for, and the guy just added some talent there. So like I said, he's added linemen, like to the guy went out and got linemen and brought them on the team to improve the backup situation. He's added the size. The wide receiver thing was a big knock on him. He went out and traded 2 picks. Some people didn't like that, but he got a 6'5" wide receiver that run a 4.47, who gets most of his catches out of the slot and contested, who's a red zone weapon along with his 6'8", 7-round draft pick tight end from UCLA to help out in the red zone. So you can see what he's doing, Guys just have to step up and earn their money now. That's the bottom line. You see? Thank you, bro. All right. Jack says Brees will see a hot dog at the barbecue was burnt and fell on the ground was outstanding. Don't do that, bro. All right. Ross, what's up, bro? How you doing, sir? All right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Slim, that'll be coming up. Matter of fact, early next week we'll have it. I think probably on Tuesday or Wednesday of next week, the Madden simulations will kick off again, bro. Yes, right. In the group says that Doug Peterson Jags did it. Remember, Dougie P did it with the Jags. Jags ain't won nothing in a long time. Dougie P first got there and turned him around before that owner got a hold of it and started messing things up. But he actually got them to start winning. So, I mean, it ain't something where it ain't a foregone conclusion. Let's not just automatically just delegate ourselves as the worst team. Let's see what these guys can do, at least do at first, the first month, before we automatically deem them to be the bottom of the NFC South. Like Red Swarm trying to kick on in there. Don't give Red Swarm all that ammunition, man. Yeah, Desi said when the last time the Steelers won anything. The Steelers haven't won a championship in a while. Since what was that? They haven't won in a while, man. But but the thing is they are able to have more consistent success, meaning in order to have a chance to compete for the Super Bowl, you got to make the playoffs, right? you got to be you got to win a lot. You got to win enough games to get you to the playoffs to make you eligible, and that gives you an opportunity to get in the tournament so you can try to see if you can get you a bowl, a championship. So we haven't even been doing that over the last 4 years, thanks to the BS that we've been seeing from the leadership or the lack thereof on the Saints. King Eternal says, if we're 1-3 by week 5, we got the Giants and Patriots, and those are wins to me. That's 3-3, but maybe we steal one game beforehand. Yeah, let's see how it goes. What's up, OG? Brian says, Q, to be honest, I can't wait till the Saints play the Bears because you got Kellen going against Ben Johnson. Yes, indeed. Staley versus Dennis Allen and Rattler versus Kell. Oh, yeah, that's a good one. See, I thank you, Brian, for that, man. I didn't even – I knew Dennis Allen was over there and this type of thing. That's going to be an interesting game, to be honest with you. And I was just thinking about just beating Dennis Allen and knocking him down. But you add a lot of different layers to it. Spencer against Caleb Williams. That'll be interesting. Did they ever play head-to-head? Did Spencer Rattler and Caleb Williams ever play head-to-head, fam? Hold on, let me look that up. That's just – I don't think so, but let me – hold on here. I don't think so, but let me ask. Yeah. I don't think they ever played. They competed against each other. Eventually, Williams taking over the starting role. Williams was benched and then replaced by Caleb during the rivalry game. Williams keeping the job for the rest of the season. They never played each other. Right? Yeah, because Rattler transferred to South Carolina, and Williams then transferred to USC and followed Lincoln Riley out there. So yeah, I don't. According to this, they never played each other. So that's going to be fun. Thanks for that, bro. That gave another layer to it. Interest right there for me. That's a good one there. All right, Cartel says, let them take Cooks. In my opinion, he's a good asset. I'll cheer for mentorship, to be honest. Thank you, bro. Desi said the Falcons going to the Super Bowl every year. Poor things. What they supposed to say, Desi? What they supposed to say? The Saints people is right? I mean, man. Hey, he's supposed to. All right, Red Sox, great content as always, crew. I appreciate you, Red Swarm. See, the people got the Who Dat Nation got love for you, brother. That's why they let you, get up in there. Bro. But that's a part of it, man, that, people got love for you. Because usually, OG got the sniper scope, and OG and the family must like you, brother, because you're still here. Please don't shoot at Red Swarm. He a good dude, man. All right. Thank you, bro. All right. What's up, brother Kevin? Shout out to you, man. Trey says, at least Saints win 9-8 with Brees twice. Indeed, bro. And remember, the Saints offense was cooking in a lot of times. And the thing with it was Sean Payton focused a lot on the offense. It wasn't until, after getting those mediocre seasons that eventually you start seeing Coach Payton really start paying attention and trying to build that defense up. Having his offense was good. He put a lot of resources into his offense. Because remember, we had Rex Ryan's brother, Rob Ryan, here for a while. We had the dude that didn't do it, that had one of the worst Saints defenses of all time. But he's a fantastic defensive coordinator everywhere else. What was the man name, man? I think he's a defensive coordinator for the Chiefs right now. What was his name? I forgot his name. But he was here. He was terrible. And then Dennis Allen came back once they fired his ass from the Raiders. that he was able to pick up the defense. But we had Greg Williams was here. Greg Williams took the Saints defense, and him and Sean Payton was dynamite together. And the league tore that up. I don't know why the Saints never tried to bring Greg Williams back. I don't know why they did that. I was like, man, listen, let's get the band back together. The Saints never did that. They pivoted to Dennis Allen later on down the line. But yeah, it took Sean Payton a few years or so for him to start really building up on that defense like that offense was. And then you start seeing the Saints really start taking off when we start being more balanced. All right, it's been 8 years since the Falcons went to the play. Oh my God, it's been almost a decade. Oh my Lord, y'all pull things. Y'all pull things. You know, I almost feel bad for knocking the feathers off y'all, man, and defeathering y'all during the cold season. You know, what's up, brother Gundam? Shout out to you. Cartel says, I asked the traps on the birds. Set the grill on Caesar. You heard? Yeah, I hear you, brother. Bible says, Q, I would rather have Marquez Valdez Scantling over Cooks. Yeah, 6'4" guy he got a lot of good speed too, bro. Be interesting. All right, Jack says, Q, do you think Arch Manning will get the same humiliation ritual? Oh, hell no. As Sanders or did one of the Mannings already kiss the ring? Yeah, I mean, oh, absolutely not. Yeah, of course, that. Yeah, of course the kissing of the ring. Yeah, all of it. All that because of how it go. You can see that. But Arch Manning will never get the same stuff as Sanders. And they won't be because he don't like the flash his ring and all that kind of stuff or a fancy watch. It was more so than that. It's the fact that they didn't like Deion Sanders and they was trying to do some stuff. You heard what Eric Dickerson said. I believe everything Eric Dickerson said. Eric Dickerson didn't come out and lie on nobody. Eric Dickerson don't even drop game like that. But for him to volunteer some information like that was really hitting him in the spirit, and he gave it to him. And I know, and you know who behind it? Goodell behind it. Because if I was the commissioner and I heard something like that, I would launch an investigation immediately to determine what the hell happened. The mere fact that ain't nothing happening, let me know what type of party this is. And I tell you what, am I surprised? Not one damn bit. Because I don't like Goodell. And y'all know how I feel about Goodell. I think Goodell is one of the worst things that ever happened to the NFL. I think Goodell is a piece of scum. And I think these greedy, godless ass owners are responsible for him being here. You don't keep no guy that most of the support base hates. They boo him every time they get up there. They've been booing him for over 5 years now. They don't like him and they don't get rid of him. They sign him to more agreements. They don't give a damn. It used to be a time when they cared what you thought about the commissioner because they wanted a friendly guy like Paul Tagliabue up there talking to you. Now they got this guy up here. And I'm going to tell you, sooner or later, you're going to get ripped down there. I know about them lawsuits that got passed with John Gruden. John Gruden's lawsuit got through, by the way, and so did Brian Flores. So sooner or later, man, it ain't if they don't do the job of justice, the universe will do it for them. And I just be privileged enough to see it happen. You know, that's what I'm talking about. All right. Snakebite says 80 catches, 4 or 5 catches a game definitely could happen for Jawan Johnson, but like you said, concentration drop. Yeah, he can get 80, bro, but I'm not going. I would be more realistic to say he gets anywhere between 50 to 60 catches, which would be career highs for him, and that would kind of put him on game where he needs to because he got to stay healthy. I would be more concerned with Jawan Johnson working on his blocking than catching the ball. But yes, when you pay you $10 million a year for the next 3 years, that means concentration drops need to stop. You know, Barry says, why do Falcons fans believe the league gave us a Super Bowl after Katrina? They're delusional for real. Well, the thing is, too, that's a way to still shine off your championship, brother. You know, because I've heard other people say, I heard the Steelers, the Green Bay Packers people, not the Packers, the Minnesota Viking people talk about, oh, they got that because of this, the Bounty Gate thing, and they don't even realize that shit wasn't even real. All them teams was doing that. That's fake. They don't pay attention to the news. They don't know nothing. They believe whatever the media tell them to believe. Oh, that was the Bounty Gate and all that, man. It wasn't no Bounty Gate. That was fake. They made it up. It was a cover story for the Viking and stuff that was going on. The drug controversy that was going on that they was covering up. That's why they was hitting the Saints like that. And people, and I covered that before. All right, Brandon says the Steelers haven't won a Super Bowl since 2008. They haven't won a playoff game since 2016. Yeah, that's tough. All right. All right. Desert said, yep, they're not getting past Baltimore. Yeah, that's tough. Baltimore and the Chiefs are here. That's you got to get up. That's why they got Aaron Rodgers over there and Metcalf. They think that kind of neutralizes it a bit, but we'll see. Greg says, Q, we can look at our own history. Look at what Sean did with the 2006 Saints, a new coach, quarterback, and new energy. Indeed, I done had people to message in the comment section, and shout out to y'all. Thank y'all for that. Keep messaging, man. Keep dropping great game. They mentioned that. They talked about the correlation. They careful to not, tie in and say, okay, Kellen Moore and Sean Payton, because that puts pressure, that type of thing. But anytime you add, and we had a defensive guy here with no accountability, no sense at all, who was a moron running the team. You get this guy in, it's an offensive, imaginative guy who just won a championship with the Eagles as their OC. And like I was showing you his numbers on the screen, he champion though, he was leading these offenses. Look at these numbers. These numbers are very respectable. And look what he got in talent. He got Alvin Kamara. Man, if I was Kellen Moore, I'm looking at my line, bro. I could see. And I said this last year. I said at the start of the year is that Alvin Kamara could have the best year of his career if the Saints run the ball and provide and feature him and provide a room where they got this. They're stretching these defenses out and they moving Alvin. Alvin Kamara can have over 1,200 yards rushing and all this kind of stuff. He can have the greatest year of his career at age 30. And remember, he ain't no beat up ass running back. Alvin Kamara was mostly in a dual running back role mixed in with Mark Ingram when he got here. He was mostly mixed in with Mark Ingram. You see what I'm saying? He wasn't, put out there and beat on like Christian McCaffrey was. Christian McCaffrey wasn't sharing the run with nobody. Christian McCaffrey was the running back room. Alvin wasn't featured like McCaffrey was, not even close. When he first got, he was with Ingram, and then they tried to pair him with Jamal Williams and all this kind of stuff, all this other stuff. So no, he ain't a beat up ass running back. But yeah, I see what you mean, brother Greg. I see what you mean on that. And like I said, the man got a plan, and he coming in, and I just see what he's doing in terms of his personnel with 6 wide receivers, 4 running backs. Everybody fast. I got a degree of speed and versatility to him on his offense. I see what he's doing. He just got to, with him doing that, he just got to pay attention to his offensive line. And he's not playing that stuff anymore. If you're an offensive line, you're going to be allowed to struggle the whole season. That's not going to be, that ain't happening this year. If you're Cesar Ruiz, if you're out there struggling, you're going to get benched. Bottom line, Dennis Allen didn't do it because he was an idiot. But Kellen Moore will bench you because Torrey Sally Simpkins is here for real. Torrey Sally Simpkins is here for real, man. That's that real deal Holyfield there, baby. What's up, brother Kevin? Kevin McKnight, true Louisianimal. Rattler got to get revenge on Williams. Man, that would be, that was great game right there, bro. Dropping that little giblet and talking, brother Barry kind of dropped some good game about that, man. He talked about that. Was that Barry? Was that Barry that said that? About the Spencer versus Williams. Yeah, I looked it up. They never played head to head in college, but they'll get a chance in that Bears game if he's still there. The only thing is he has to make it to that Bears game. If he don't handle it, Spags. Thank you, Ross. Spagnola. Spagnola was the guy. Thanks, bro. All right. Yeah, I forgot him. He was so terrible. You pack your bag, Spags. Yeah, he was terrible, man. He was awful. But the thing is, too, like I said, man, we gonna see, man. If Spencer can make it to the Bears game, if he can make it, if he plays well, we should be all right. I try to tell people about the Bounty Gate thing is a bunch of BS, man. They don't listen. That's what. But the thing is, all you have to do is Google Paul Tagliabue independent investigation on Bounty Gate. And he did a whole investigation, found out the guy that filed the complaint, it was BS, that he was a disgruntled employee that made a bunch of stuff up. They had no evidence and proof. They had to throw all that stuff out and apologize to the Saints, in which they did. Just Google Paul Tagliabue Bountygate investigation. They'll give you the whole damn report in PDF form. I covered it on the show. He'll tell the truth. People just want to believe what they want to believe. What's up, Zion? How you doing, bro? All right. What's up, Trey? He said they always say that they talk about Brees a lot, like the Panthers fans always bring up Cam Newton. Yeah. Cam Newton ain't won nothing out there. I don't know if I would be happy with Cam. I ain't going to even go there. I ain't going to go there with the Whitney Houston scarves and all that kind of stuff. I ain't going to go there. All right. What's up, KT? Shout out to Black Preacher, man. What's up, brother? How you doing, man? Much love. Yeah. He says, Cam Newton with the Whitney Houston scarves. When he started wearing, I was like, man, what you doing with? And then Elvin had it when he was breaking out there. Yeah, Whitney. I was like, well, y'all wearing them Whitney Houston scarves for, bro? What's wrong with y'all? Brandon says they're just mad because they couldn't win a Super Bowl with MVP QB. Yeah, well, I mean, the Falcon people, man, it'll be good. Sled, it's always good football when we match up with the Falcons. You know, we get our jollies. They do the same thing over there. You know, so it's all love, bro. It's all love. It's all love, right? All right. So anyway, fam, that's going to be the end of it, man. Listen, I appreciate y'all for chiming in on this episode, Friday night stream, man. Listen, I shall return. It probably will be a Saturday. We'll see about a Saturday show. I got a Saints versus Cardinals preview coming up soon, fam. We'll be looking at that. We'll be going over, giving a full breakdown of the Arizona Cardinals matchup. This weekend, like you said, Tulane plays. Sunday, LSU plays against Clemson. Go Tigers. Real Tigers. Real Tigers. Not them other people's Tigers. You know, everybody want to be the Tigers. You got the Auburn Tigers, the Clemson Tigers, the Missouri Tigers. Everybody want to be the Tigers. But listen, man, I'll be back, fam. It'll probably be on Saturday, man. We'll go over some stuff, man. Y'all hit that notification bell so y'all don't miss it. For those who are not sub up to the coma, shout out to the Patreon champions and YouTube membership family that recently joined the channel. Thank you, guys. We'll be adding some more to the Patreon family. We'll be adding some more trending topic categories and news stuff like we used to do with On Q with Big Q. I'm bringing that back. Add to the channel to beef that up, build that up. And we're going to be going live on Patreon. Patreon has now have a new feature now where, because before it was difficult to do lives on Patreon. Now you can actually go live on Patreon, fam. It's similar to YouTube, what they're trying to do, but it's a new feature there that I'm so excited about. So the Patreon family members, we're going to actually be going live there, you know, where you could be able to see. And there's tons of content on our Patreon stuff, news shows and stuff that we did over time. All that's available there, including some. And it's not the same on Patreon as it is on YouTube. It's different a little bit for the family members, for those who know. But yes, that's a feature that we're going to be doing over there as well. So it's going to be pretty cool going over there, man. Be able to read your comments and all that. It's just, that was the one thing that we're lacking. They actually changed that, man. And I'm very excited about it. I tested it the other day. We're going to be very excited about it, man. All right. Yeah, what you want to do, Brother Greg, they got links in the description section or in that you can sign up for Patreon, to go to patreon.com/the Pro Media Network. That's patreon.com/the THE Pro Media Network. And that's how you get there, man. All right. So anyway, man, look, there you go. Nightbot just threw it up. Thanks, Nightbot. All right. So anyway, man, with that being said, I am going to get out of here. But listen, I will be back tomorrow to talk to you guys about all the latest stuff. I think the Saints got a news press conference or something they got going on tomorrow. We're going to cover that and other things as well. So y'all guys have a wonderful start of your magnificent weekend, man. Y'all chill. Y'all get y'all some rest. Y'all have some fun tomorrow. And this weekend, it is Labor Day weekend. It's a 3-day weekend for the family members that work hard and are thorough and deserve a good rest and some good food, baby. Hey, I'm with you. I'm going to holler at y'all tomorrow. Much love. Peace. And with that too.
Yeah. Boogie like Benson, I'm a Who Dat. I'm a Who Dat. Long as I'm living, I'm a Who Dat. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, 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 Boogie like this and I'm a who that. Sports coma, this is where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your chain for the championship. Bucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy, and you probably smell the crooked referees or Roger Goodell. Buggy like this, and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like this, and I'm a who that. It's the sports coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network. WhoThatDaily.com. That's right, the WhoThatDaily.com. Your one-stop shop for everything New Orleans Saints, New Orleans Pelicans, LSU Tigers, even the top flight boxing news. So if you're a Who Dat and you're looking for a place to stay up on your team, WhoThatDaily.com is your site. The WhoThatDaily.com for the sport Who Dat in all of us. That's right, the Pro Shop is the platform store where you can go and buy all the latest merch to support the platform. Available at the Pro Shops, we have dozens of hundreds of products available for you and your family. Unisex tees for men and women, hoodies and sweatshirts, tank tops, kids and baby items, long sleeve tees, mugs, pillows, wall art, bath bedding, face masks, phone cases, stickers, bags, fanny packs, socks, hats, and many other items. Please feel free to check out the Pro Shops. The link is in the description section below. And remember, it helps the platform continue to grow. Check out the Pro Shop and Who Dat.